Joseph was Jesus' foster parent. Jesus had a foster parent. Jesus was raised by a foster parent. Jesus' father was God. Now, when you think about foster parents, I know there's probably millions and millions and millions and millions of things that you can think about foster parenthood. You start off by saying how noble it is, that you would sit there and take the time to care for another man's child. You would step in and see to that child's needs and everything, and that child don't belong to you. And then you start thinking about all kinds of other stuff that goes on, like how when a child grows up, how's a child going to address you and treat you, understanding that you're not really their real dad? How many of you foster parents? Yeah, I'm talking to some stepdads too. I'm talking to some friends of the family too. Something happened to your dad, and his best friend is helping your mama pay the bills, so you can have a roof over your head. But he better not ask you to cut their yard. He better not ask you to wash them dishes. He better not ask you to do something around that house. You ain't my daddy. How many? Now I can imagine that Jesus, being the special child that he was, still had to be raised like one. The scriptures say that Jesus learned through the things that he suffered. He learned all things through the things that he suffered. He had to surrender himself to being a baby, to have to be fed and nurtured and cared for. Jesus may have gotten diaper rash as a baby. Jesus may have fell down and skinned his knee. And Joseph had to be there. Joseph had Jesus working with him as a carpenter. He said, now I know you're the Messiah and everything, but you still need to know how to swing a hammer. When Jesus ended up getting lost, and I'm proving to you that at least they thought he was lost, and they went out searching for him, and they found him in the synagogue reasoning with the priests. Well, not priests, but reasoning with the teachers. And he said, man, didn't you hear us calling you? How many of y'all had that? You went to the park, went to the zoo? Look, I'm trying to make this as practical as I can, because that's the reason why a lot of us are stuck the way we are now. We don't have an understanding. We just read that in Proverbs 4. It says, in all thy ways, get an understanding. I'm trying to help you understand. Because then once you understand, this thing is going to free you in some areas. Joseph ran up in the synagogue and said, hey, Jesus, bro, we was calling you, son. Did you not hear us? And Jesus turned around and said, don't you see I'm about my Father's business? See, everything in the scripture is significant. There are times when you read stuff and just kind of read over it because you don't necessarily, but that stuff is significant. That was a significant statement. Joseph had to understand how to be a foster parent to a child that was still loyal to his own father. And right now, dads, you're going to have some kids out there, foster dads, that are still going to be loyal to who they think is a father or their image of a father over you. And they're going to leverage that. So that's the reason why Solomon said to be a father. I don't need to be their father. I just need to be present. I need to be a father. Because if I'm a father, then I understand how to navigate the situation that I might find myself into when I marry somebody who already got kids. And women, I gotta talk to you right now. I gotta include you. Because my wife, she'll be talking to me after the show. Why do you include the women? Because yes. Women, you running around out here single parent for whatever reason. I'm not judging you. But what I will advise you is to watch who you let in your house around your children. I heard a crazy thing on the radio the other day. They had this big debate. Some woman was getting married. She was in her wedding. And when the preacher said, "Do you promise to love, honor, and obey?" And she blew the church up. She was like, "Wait a minute, hold on. We don't put that in our vows. We don't want that in our vows. I'm not going to obey him." Now, the scripture does say be submissive. Wives, be submissive to your husbands. And we talked about that. But let's go a step further than that. Why? Why would you be on the altar in a church where God is supposed to be, getting married to somebody that you can't trust enough to submit to? What you're saying is, I'm not going to obey you because I don't trust that you will handle me well in a submissive situation. You will take advantage of me and you will try to make me something I don't want to be. So no, take that out of the vows. I will not obey him. Well, you don't need to be getting married. We talked about that. I get it. A lot of these women out here, and it's like, look, if you got a man that you're supposed to be in some sort of relationship with, and he's taking literal dominion over you in a way that you don't feel comfortable, then that's not your man, honey. And I don't care whether he's saved or not. I don't care whether y'all believe in anything or not. That's not a good match. When the scriptures say be submissive to your wives, submit to your husbands, it means don't submit yourself to anybody you don't trust. But when you find somebody you trust, then it makes it easy for you to submit to him. That's what that means. Yeah, you love him. You say you love him, and he got a good head on his shoulders. He's smart. He got a good job. You got good credit. You know what I'm saying? Don't have no tickets or accidents in the last 5 years. All the 9 yards. But don't tell me to obey him. And you don't even know what that means. You don't even know. You all out of context. You don't go into a marriage protected. You can't become one flesh with nobody that you protecting yourself from at the same time. That's like putting the wrong organ in a person. The body will reject it. I just had to say that. Because a lot of women, because see, in our culture, that's society over here in America, the number of single moms, I might have to look that up and just show a stat on the screen that says about the disparity between single moms and single dads in America. The man is the one who carries the seed. If the child should be going with anybody, it should be the dad. The mother is a carrier, but she gets all of the responsibility for the child. And that's not cool. That's not right. It's not right. So when the divorce happens, guess who the children go with? The mother. I don't know who made that rule up. And so women have become they feel so vulnerable and at risk because it's like at any point, this dude can leave me with all his seed. He done came up in here and done baked all these biscuits and just gonna leave me with him here. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. So women, single parents, single moms out there, yes, we appreciate what you're doing. We understand that you have a load. Trust me, I know. I work for a mentorship program for young boys between the ages of 12 and 19. And of all the 200 and something boys I got in my family, because I call it my family, I can count on one hand the number of fathers that are at home, present, and accounted for. And of those who are actually blood relatives. I get to seeing so many different faces and everything. Yeah, man, I'm so-and-so's, I'm so-and-so's boyfriend, I came over here to pick up. No, you didn't. I don't know you. Then I got to get on the phone and call mom because the new guy in her life then came over here to pick up her son, and I'm like, I don't know this guy. This is Father's Day, y'all. And I'm reaching out. Joseph was a foster dad. Joseph got told to his face that you are not my father. I'm about my father's business. And as true as that was, Jesus being 12, he didn't have no advantages over any other kids. He wasn't that special to a point where he was immune from anything, because it wouldn't have been fair. Everybody keep thinking that when Jesus came down here, he was just a perfect little boy, the perfect young man, yeah, he was. He knew his purpose. Because the man and the woman, the husband and the wife, the family dynamic that was prevalent in his life made sure he knew. Jesus could have not known his purpose. If Joseph would have got pissed off and said, to hell with it, I'm not finna marry this woman, she pregnant, and she gonna lie to me and tell me that God did it just so she wouldn't look bad, you can kick rocks. Jesus would have been in a single home. And God would have had to raise somebody else up. That's where I get to my mentors. Some of you fellas out there got this girlfriend, she got a child and everything. And y'all not really, y'all friends and whatnot. Y'all knew each other in high school or something like that. But the little kid just out there in the street, just doing all kind of foolishness. And you just decided one day to step up and say, hey man, let's go to the movies. Hey man, let's go to the basketball court, shoot some hoops. Yeah man, I see you out there trying to build something. Hey man, I got some tools. Let me help you with that. Because God never leaves himself without a witness. God would have filled that blank. But if Joseph would have got mad, just imagine, because it happens. You get mad, you're pregnant for who? Right. And so Joseph is a foster parent, and he's dealing with foster parent stuff. Jesus is a foster kid. Where are my stepdads at? Where are my stepdads? Where are my stepdads at? Yeah, you the stepdad. You done came in and you done married somebody after the fact. Now you got to deal with they situation. You have to sit down with this person and you have to figure out, now that we're in this situation, if I step in, how do I assert myself as a father to this child? You know, you come in and everything, and everybody has their different idea of what fatherhood is. And I don't judge. If you one of them guys that decide you want to go into somebody's house and tell some other man's kids to call you daddy because you the one paying the bills, bro, I can't argue with it. If that's the agreement that you and your wife done made, it's cool. But if y'all ain't married, y'all not having that conversation. Listen to what I'm telling you. That conversation don't happen until after that ring goes on. You don't become somebody's stepdad just because you living in the house. Because first of all, the woman that you marrying has to be submissive enough to you to entrust you with that child. We're going to have to talk some of this stuff. You put in the notes some of the stuff you want to go a little bit deeper into, because we can cover a whole range. Grandfathers out there, where the grandfathers at? I know sometimes the grandfather done had to step in. I have a grandson right now, lost his dad in a car accident. And I thought kids get over things real easy. This little kid has not gotten over his dad passing. And I'm constantly having to remind him of God's word concerning his situation. Constantly having to talk to him about the situation and help him come to terms and come to peace with what has happened in his life. The fact that he'll never see that guy again until hopefully in the afterlife, when everything is said and done, he can be with him again wherever he is. So I know what it's like to have to step in and say, hey, you know, I understand you dealing with this here, but hey, we can still do things. He would still want you to be successful. He would still want you to pass your classes in school. All this acting out and stuff you doing, and you blaming it on the fact that you mad because your dad is gone, and why God take my dad? Well, you can only do that for so long before it begins to throw your life off trajectory. So let me come and help you. How many father-in-laws we got out there? Father-in-laws. The in-laws. That's an extended family. We call it in-law, but technically, when you marry into a family, that becomes your family. It adds to the family dynamic. It's the fruitful and multiply type thing. It's the replication and the assembly of God's people. There's a reason why this stuff was done, y'all. This wasn't no just random anomaly that happened with the Big Bang Theory and all of that stuff like that. You mean to tell me that you're willing to think that this just happened by random, by chance? You gotta be kidding me. How many father-in-laws we got out there? Well, when your daughter go out there and marry that guy, that guy becomes your son. You treat him as such. That means if he needs anything, you need to be there for him because he's got your daughter. And when you support him, you support her. And I understand sometimes we don't agree with who our daughters have picked to get married to. We didn't pick. Yeah, I wish I did. I asked my daughters, I said, would you have allowed me to pick your husband for you? Based on what I know of you, based on the fact that I've been present in your life and I raised you and know what your likes are, your dislikes are, your mannerisms, your purpose. I know everything about you. Wouldn't it be cool if I picked your husband? That conversation is still ongoing. They call that an ongoing investigation. We can't say right now because the investigation is ongoing. You hear it on the news and they go and interview the police chief. He's like, the investigation is ongoing. But yeah, father-in-laws, most of us did not pick our children's spouses. And so therefore, they probably brought some folks home you don't like too much. Some folks you don't trust. Some folks that may have some different belief systems than you, a different political party position than you. This is the family dynamic, y'all. This is what the enemy has been attacking from day one. He went to Eve because he was trying to take down Adam, and he succeeded. From day one, the enemy has wanted to attack the family dynamic. He's wanted to attack the fathers. God had already defeated him. And Adam was ignoring him. And so he went to the one person he could get an audience with, because he knew she had influence. The enemy has been doing this forever, and it's normal. We got stuff going on in our life right now that's so fragmented, the family's so jacked up, dysfunctional, and we call it normal. If we can put a name on it, it means it's normal. That's not normal. Broken homes and extended families or blended families are not God's will. And I get it. If you were a part of that type of situation, if you got here through an unfortunate circumstance, that's one thing. God can forgive that. But he expects us to break the cycles. Don't let your kids perpetuate that same foolishness. And what is that going to mean? That means you have to change. The first qualification of being a father is to have your life patterned by the father. And you don't even have to have kids. Because just like a woman has to be a wife before she get married, a man's got to be a husband and a father before he get married. He's got to have that mindset and he got to have that character built up in him already. So what are we doing with our sons, guys? Are we letting them just run the internet? We used to say the streets, but now they running the internet. You can lock them rascals up in their room and they got enough electronics to go all the way across the world and you never know it. Y'all better listen. We're talking about fathers here. And it's just interesting that I was up in there looking at this. I mean, wow. Joseph, nobody ever really talks about Joseph. The Catholics, they doggone they worship the Virgin Mary as their surrogate to God. They pray through her. You might talk about Joseph. Oh, he's just a saint. Because he was there. He's standing back there. Look, I'm from Detroit. Look, let me tell you about the story about Detroit. Because I got to do it. Because I know some of y'all like, what? You got me hit me in the comments. My wife and I, we're movie buffs. When we go on date night, we usually like to go to movies. And a long time ago, we saw this movie called Boomerang with Eddie Murphy and Tisha Campbell and Robin Givens and David Allen Greer and all these other different people. I mean, just lots of stars, lots of famous names. It was probably one of the better movies of the 80s, right? It was a comedy and everything. And so there was this scene in the movie where a waitress came to serve the fellas, Eddie Murphy and a couple of his friends. And Eddie Murphy played this really popular guy, this really attractive guy. He got all the attention. All the attention in the room is going to be drawn to him. He's going to be the main attraction in every room he walk into, basically. He had that charisma and that charm or whatnot. So the waitress came over there and he starts asking her questions and everything. And so now they're having a whole conversation while his boys is just sitting there like, okay. So after the lady had left, conversation was over with, one of them just kind of chimed out, well, hey, I'm from Detroit. It's almost like y'all have made us invisible. It's like we don't count. Y'all so enthralled in y'all situation. So that's where they come from. My wife and I will go out somewhere, and my wife, she's a beautiful young lady. She dresses herself really, really well. And if I take her out on date night, there's going to be at least 2 to 3 encounters that we're going to have where somebody's just going to come up out the blue and start complimenting something she got on. Anything from her earrings to the cologne she's wearing, to her hair, to her shoes. It's something. Somebody's going to walk up to her and say, those shoes are really, really nice. And I'm like, wow. And I'm standing right there. It's like, well, I'm from Detroit. You know what I'm saying? It's like she's just the light of everything, right? So that's our little inside joke. So that's why I say, it's like Mother's Day and Father's Day. It's like us fathers just sitting back here by the barbecue pit, like, anybody want some more, some more sauce? Everybody celebrating and everything. We working. You know what I'm saying? So that's where they came from. So we about to wrap up. I'm going to pray for y'all because there's a lot to unpack. I might go into some more of this because, I read that whole 10 verses, but I only explained one. It's like I got stuck right there at a father. I got stuck right there. Because the society we live in, fatherhood can mean a lot of different things. The father figure. How many father figures do I have out there? You just see any old random kid out there in trouble and you try to help. You put yourself in the way of helping young people. Whether it's in the school, whether it's not in the school. Maybe it's with a nonprofit organization. Some of y'all own nonprofit organizations. As a matter of fact, I have a guy right now we're in partnership with. He's with Cool Dads. Want to give him a shout out. He's with Cool Dads. It's a really cool organization, and it's for nothing but fathers who want to learn how to pattern their life after the father so they can become better fathers. And so these guys get together, man, and they talk, they strategize, they share with one another, they exchange information, they network, and they build a collaborative of fathers, man, that's going to be present in the lives of our children. Mothers, we appreciate y'all holding it down for the time you have, but it's time for us fathers to step back up. Well, I'm about to say something else, but it's time for us to step up. Like, for real. Because if we're going to break some of the chains and some of the cycles that's keeping our society down and that's keeping the family dynamic so eroded and everything that we can't understand our left from our right, we go into church and we studying our Bible, we're reading it backwards and front. And the only thing we're doing is out there winning arguments, and we should be raising our children.